Okay, so it says we're live. I just want to make sure.
It didn't pop up here.
I don't know if it has to. Okay, yep, we are.
Right there.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Marriage Mondays Live. Richard and I are going to be talking with you guys about a great topic, and we're glad that you're joining us. We will be waiting on a few of you guys to hop on. So we'll be checking our phones for comments. We need you guys' input. It's so much more fun when it's interactive based off your guys' experiences and your comments. So welcome. If you are watching maybe for the first time, my name is Angel.
Richard.
And we are part of a marriage team called Marriage Matters Today, and we have events that occur basically twice a month, and this is a live event. I think the last time we were on was a couple of months ago, so we've missed everybody. And I see that Keisha and probably one of the Bisels, maybe Dave, I can never tell which one it is, LJ and Navika are joining us. So we'll go ahead and get started because we've got, I think, a lot of questions, and we want to get you guys' feedback on it, and we also want to be cognizant of the time. So let's go ahead and get started.
So when we were on vacation last week, we were sitting down on the balcony, and we started talking about how we may particularly feel about certain situations. So one of the things that popped up was whether or not we felt comfortable in taking vacations by ourselves. And that kind of sparked, the initial thought for me was, I'm not really for sure that's biblical, because I went straight to the Bible to think of a reference point where it would be okay for the husband and the wife to have separate vacations for whatever reason, mental health. And then I started going down the road, like for instance, if you were going on a missionary trip, I don't think that that's considered a vacation, but I don't think there would be much disagreement on that. You're going down to South America, for instance, as a husband or a wife, and you're helping build a church down there for a week. I don't think there would be any conflict there. Then the next thing was whether or not you were going to be visiting a family member. Let's say you're going to go see your sister or your brother, and they're in a different state. And not for sure there was any conflict there, spend a couple of days there. Then we started digging a little bit deeper, and we'll get to the final one because I know that's what you're probably thinking about. But then we started thinking about whether or not it would be okay to see a friend that you went to college with or high school with. Let's say it's the same sex friend, and you're going out there for a week. Let's say that this friend is married with children and is a Christian woman, and you're going out there, or a Christian man and you're going out there. Then we started going down the rabbit hole, and you already know
wait, you could say you started going down the rabbit hole because, listen, Richard is being so, you guys know this man, and when I tell you, I was texting Navika and LJ as we were having the conversation, and I'm like, this has to be what we talk about on our live, because it was so deep. Like, he was going down this rabbit hole of all these situations. So while he finishes his thought, I want to know for each of you if you guys have ever did a separate vacation from one another, and what was the circumstance. So, like, was it,
Well, now, wait a minute.
no, then we'll go to the comments. That gives the
But
time
that's what I'm saying. We're not defining that yet.
Whatever their experience is.
Disagreement. Disagreement automatically. We're not even 5 minutes into the show.
But that way, we can go. This is giving them time if they've done it. Okay,
so kind of think about it.
Yeah, okay.
So then the next rabbit hole that I started going down in my thoughts, since it's all on me at this point,
It was your rabbit hole.
was whether or not you could go on vacation with a friend that's single and that's a man and you're the wife. I just automatically went to, that ain't happening. Even if it's your best friend. But, I mean, I was like, okay, I don't know what people think. I don't know if that kind of fits into the realm of moral marriage or Christian marriage, and that's okay for you to do that. I wasn't for sure. I don't think I would be in agreement with that, but that's another possibility. Or the one that I know that most people are not going to agree upon is some man going to see his friend who's a girl that lives in another state, that's single woman. Oh yeah, she's my best friend from high school. I was thinking, oh, that ain't going to happen either. There's no way nobody's going to agree with that. So then that's when it started to kind of go all over the place and figuring out, okay, when is it okay, if ever is it okay, for a husband and a wife to go on a personal vacation that's not going to, what did I say, the monks? Not to go on a sabbatical up in the mountains in the monks. No, that's not the category. Not going on a mission trip where you're going down to Guatemala building churches. That's not the category either. It would be more like maybe a personal health day or week or 2 days, because I think you use 2 days.
Yeah,
as an
like
example.
a weekend or something like
weekend.
that. Like if you want to do a weekend.
Or if you went solo, you know, and then that's when I started bringing up, okay, what does solo be?
Right. So if you haven't done a vacation without your spouse, what would you do? Like, what would it be like? So the counter things that I was saying as he was throwing out all these, situations, I was like, okay, because of course, we looked up articles. We looked up some articles. I think the most recent one that I saw was from like 2019, and it was talking about like, should married couples vacation separately? And, it talked about the personal benefits of it. I'm seeing all these no's. Okay, so anyway,
There's perspective.
It is. It was 1,000 perspectives that we had. So,
right.
So it was like, is it selfish to think, okay, I want to go and have some me time? Like, is me time offensive to the spouse that doesn't get to go on vacation? And then it's like, is that selfishness supposed to be, well, this is selfish because we have a family and we have responsibilities at home, and so now I'm being left with, taking the kids to school and or if you don't have kids or if they're out of the house. Because, one of the things that, you can share the story, where your mom and dad, your mom went.
So we went down that road with responsibility, and I was having a hard time in my research. I was trying to look at things from a Christian perspective. When you start looking at things from a Christian perspective, it's very hard to justify this self-help retreat thing unless it's oriented towards some other type of Christian event, like Christians women's ministry going to,
like a women's conference or something like that.
That all seems to fit. But if you're talking about going down to, and I'm only using this for an example, but please don't bite my head off. If you're talking about going down to Cancun or Jamaica at a resort with your girlfriends, quote unquote, I don't know if they're married. I don't know if they're single. I don't know if they're Christians. I mean, I don't know.
So I mean, what's that checkbox? So okay, so let's look at the comments. Okay. All right, so we have some no's, which I saw Tasha was talking about, like, you know, you can't go when the
So I can't go down to Cancun and see my old friend that's a girl.
She was saying no when it was like if it's like the opposite sex and they're just friends or something like that. And then Naka says she thinks it would be okay to go with her going on a vacation with her sister, right? Tasha was like, wait, we can't have a girls' trip.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
Tasha is my friend of mine for 20 plus years. Sonia, I see she on here too. So she like, that would be the girls' trip. She'd be on there. Okay, so so Dave and Linnell, I think a girls' trip or guys' trip is okay as long as your spouse knows and trusts those friends.
Yeah, there are going to be some parameters around anything that is agreeable.
So that's what Nautica says. I think it depends on the marriage as to what would be acceptable. And that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, the question that we're posing to you guys is, are you open to it? And because we didn't have like this, the reason why this was kind of like a rabbit hole kind of conversation is because we saw the pros and cons of both.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a right or wrong. I did ask Richard, like, well, I mean, you know, if you go on vacation, I mean, he has gone hunting with like his cousins and stuff like that. I don't know if he necessarily considers that a vacation, but it's like, you know, what would you do?
Yeah,
because like he has traveled way more than I have. Obviously, we talked about the generational differences in our conversation, like. You know, is it generationally younger people would be more open to doing separate vacations than maybe folks that have been married for a long time? But his mom used to go on vacation to go see her girlfriend. His dad would stay home, and they had been married for many years, but the kids were out of the house. So, I mean, it's like...
Yeah, when the responsibility isn't transferred to either the husband or the spouse, it seems to be justifiable if there's a level of trust in the relationship. Early in the marriage, I'm not for sure most people would be in agreement. You know, you're 5 years in and you're talking about, you know, going out for a week without, I don't know. I don't know where people's minds would be at. I don't even know where I'm at on that. It would, you know, it would seem as though you would have to have building some trust in a relationship. Do we think that building trust in a relationship starts off from day one? Well, there's a level of trust, but that trust is being built over the years.
And Sonia says vacation can be defined differently for each person, and we talked about that.
Yeah, that's hard.
We talked about that. Like, if I were to say, my thought is if I had a weekend away without, you know, Richard and the kids, I literally would, like, you know, be doing like bubble bath, reading, you know, meditating, pray, like doing like a lot of things that when I don't, like without having the distraction. But, you know, you guys got to remember, we were having this conversation literally as like people were walking.
No, that's not people. No. Let's be descriptive on people.
No, be careful and be descriptive. Let's just say that there was a lot of skin that was showing.
There were people. It was ridiculous.
So
it was ridiculous. I'm just saying.
So literally, he's like saying to me, "I'm not letting you go on vacation if you're wearing that." And I mean, I'm like, you know that I would not. I mean, if you're picturing that, then you're defining what I'm saying is a vacation. So then you're naturally going to be like, no. You know what I mean? But if I'm like...
No, I don't think I was doing that. I don't know. I honestly can't speak to you and say I understand this topic is very controversial, I guess is a way to say it, in the sense that, you know, are you just in agreement? Oh, yeah, go. As if Satan's not going to come out there? Come on. You're automatically setting yourself up for possibilities, not to say that it's on the level of trust with your spouse, but we know that period of time away, and then...
Okay, but I mean, a period of time, like, you know, we were saying something like...
Yeah, I understand. And then you got to understand my point of reference. I've got a bad point of reference, which was the military. You know, when I served in the military, all these guys would go to these foreign countries for lengthy periods of time. And then I'm going out there looking at these grown men doing things which there is no way that's acceptable behavior. It's no way.
Okay, so let's erase all that, because Nabika asks, what is the reason we assume the worst? Thinking about your spouse is taking separate vacations, trust of spouse, mistrust of friends, infidelity history. Like, is all of that a factor as to why?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a factor in that. But we also know that the carnal world doesn't care. There is no foundation to stem from. There's no moral foundation to stem from in the what am I trying to say? In the non-believing world. In the non-believing world, there is no moral foundation that we stem from. Everything is relative. It's relative to what you think is the truth. And we're supposed to be functioning from a truth.
Yeah, I know, but
and that's why it was hard for me. I couldn't find those
you couldn't, and that's
truths.
because I was trying to because I was talking about, well, I mean, you're not going to find anything where it's going to be like, well, generationally, you know what I'm saying? It's not. It's literally about perspective. So when I was talking, I was like open to it. You know, like, yeah, you know, like, we have a family, you know, we have a blended family. We've got, you know, we're going soccer games and football games and da-da-da-da. Like, just, you know, I mean, obviously this past year and a half of being, you know, our kids' teachers and that kind of thing. Like, if Richard was like, you know what, babe, I want to go, you know, fishing on a weekend trip with myself or, you know, with a couple of my friends or whatever. I mean, if Tasha's listening, Tasha knows I'd be like,
yeah, but so here's the thing. This is what got me. I'm thinking about all the things that I would want to do as her husband. Nothing that even comes to mind is dealing with me going to some tropical island somewhere.
That's what I mean.
Mine is all, I'm going hunting, I'm going fishing, I'm going out camping, I'm going to the wilderness. So I'm thinking, but I know that that's not what you would do.
Wait, why did Nabika say Temptation Island?
That's right. You're going to Temptation Island for a vacation. But watch out. Don't worry about it. There's no temptation because I trust my wife. And then I saw Alejandro down there in Mexico again. This guy looked like a GQ poster guy. And it's probably the fact that I'm looking at myself and comparing myself physically to what I'm seeing. I'm like, that has to be appealing to Angel to see this guy walking around. I mean, this guy
right, and I don't even know who he's talking about, which is funny because, you know, he was just people watching he always has watched way more. But at the time of the conversation, it was probably Temptation Island in his mind. But that's not the case.
I know the Archies. Now you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Alejandro.
Yeah,
that was his name.
Alejandro. He rolled up in there.
So here's the question. No one has said whether or not, no one has commented. They said that they agree that it would be cool to do a girls' trip.
Yeah.
So, you know, are there guilt factors? Are there guilt factors as to why you may not have done it or are willing to do it? Is it because you're like, you know, I don't want to make him feel like, or I don't want to make her feel like I don't want her to come, right? So is there guilt factors there?
Well, I think that depends on, for me, that depends on the strength of the relationship. There is no way that you could do something like this if you have a relationship that is fractured. There's no way. It just could not possibly.
You mean where it's not resolved?
Yeah, if you have a fractured relationship
that hasn't been resolved.
Yeah, that has not. Yeah,
okay,
there's no
right.
way, because that's just looking for an excuse, you know, to put blame on the reason why this isn't working out or that's working out. Now, if you have a great relationship, a wholesome relationship, you have great friendships around your relationship that kind of hold you both accountable to it. I mean, yeah, it's still going to be difficult, I think, but I mean, you've checked off all the check marks. But again, I have to say, when I was trying to look at this from a Christian perspective, I was having a hard time defining that. Because when I started going to Timothy, Ephesians, Colossians, when you start looking at those scriptures and talking about the definition of family, and then what the
separation
and the purpose of family, when you start looking at the depths of those things, I mean, it's like, okay, you're going on a trip for self-help? I mean,
I'm going on a trip.
No, see, that's not even funny. That's not even funny.
The sky, little Einstein. Sorry.
Yeah, but it was difficult to balance those out in understanding the purpose of family, why we're supposed to be married, what we represent, and then if it's not for a specific purpose, like a sabbatical or something like that, or some type of ministry trip, I wasn't able to.
Okay, so here's the question then. Okay, so let's just say that, you know, your spouse, you say, you know what, I'm good. You go ahead, have your weekend. I'll take the kids. You know what, we gonna have pizza. We gonna, you know, kick it while you're gone. We're not even gonna call you. You are good. She comes back so renewed that you're like, she comes back a whole new person because she feels like, oh my gosh, like I was able to experience something because, you know, traveling is supposed to like enlighten us to things and, you know, give us
I agree with that.
So then, you know, you usually like to focus on the byproducts of things. So, you know, she comes back and then, you know, get a little hot and heavy, you know, once kids in the bed. So what would you say to that?
I know you're putting me in a position where as if I'm in disagreement.
No, I'm not saying that.
So
saying, but
there's always there seems to be possible benefits. Again, my premise is coming from a Christian perspective.
Okay, but
that's my position. I'm supposed to try to come from a Christian perspective. I've had a hard time with that because from a worldly perspective, there is, as I stated before, no moral foundation. You make up the rules as you go along. If you feel like it, you can do it. If you want to express yourself that way, it's okay. There's nothing there. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of difficult when you look at it from, is there something from a biblical perspective that says it is okay or it's not okay? Or does it have to fall under the category of a mission trip or a sabbatical of being closer to God? I don't know. I don't know those answers.
Yeah, and that's where we were talking about, like, it has to be defined, you know, what that vacation is. Navica says, COVID had married folks up in the house looking at each other sideways. Right. I mean, that, yes. COVID. I mean, so it's like, at this point, you know, if you feel comfortable, I mean, because you can't be like, I didn't spend enough time with you in the past 18 months. Because, I mean, even when we were on vacation, like, we had spent time with each other so much. And it's like, that it's like, you know what I mean? We were away from our responsibilities and we were but we've had so much quality time together that it's like, you know, would it be okay to be like, I need my quality time to be with just me? And that, like I said, that whole me time, is that supposed to be looked at as a selfish thing?
That's what I'm saying. You know, that the heart. So I think to your question and to Tasha's question, Bible says we're supposed to be together 24/7. No, it doesn't say that. But the problem that you're going to have is the definition of marriage from a biblical standpoint. Because when you start diving into that definition of marriage, it is a reflection of the church in Jesus Christ. So if you want to combat that, I mean, how did Jesus Christ deal with the church? You know, did Jesus Christ leave his church? Yeah, he sacrificed himself for his church. He left and said, I'll be back. But it was sacrificial. That's much different.
So then that's where you're saying, like, when you were talking about the whole military, like, situation, you know, that time away from your spouse is obviously, you're sacrificing for your family to, serve the country.
Yeah,
I
you
think
are, but
that's-
I'm not trying to equate the military
I know.
experience to the
I
Bible
know.
experience. But
I'm
I'm
just
saying
saying.
that the Bible defines marriage by these certain standards. Does this fall into that category of standards? Like I said before, if we're looking at a separation, we know that it needs to be agreed upon from a biblical standpoint, right? That's what the Bible says specifically, that, you have to come to some agreement.
But I don't think, and so he kept saying that to me, and so my whole argument was, but I don't think it's unhealthy. I don't think it needs to be looked at as though you have issues in your marriage because Richard decided he wanted to go on vacation without the kids. Like, it shouldn't be a reflection at all. I feel like if your relationship is mature, if you're going to be modest in how you act while you're on vacation.
No, let's flip that script. Modesty is number one, because if you were to see some of that stuff I saw, modesty was not there at all.
Right. And
Dude.
I mean, so again, being as if you're being modest, and you're obviously being honorable to your marriage during the vacation, then it should be considered to be okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you guys agree? Okay, so Shalonda, she says, I think in a way it can make you appreciate your spouse more. The short vacay can help you both feel rejuvenated and look forward to seeing one another. And that's what one of the articles talked about. It talked about that. It talked about how you may have different goals as to where you would want to travel. So, like, if Richard likes hiking and I don't like hiking, I don't want to keep him from not, going on a hiking trip because I don't like to hike. So, it allows you to be able to, maybe mark off some of those things on your bucket list that allows you to grow personally,
But see, that's where we have a hard time too, because under the definition of Christian marriage, what happens to the individuals? What happens to the individuals under a Christian marriage?
You're supposed to be as one.
You become as one. So,
but your interests may be different.
It may be different, but under the Christian marriage, sacrifice is a key element in the relationship.
I get
Right.
I get what
so,
you're saying,
for instance, if you want to go hiking, that may be something that you're sacrificing. Now I'm going to go hiking with my husband.
I agree. But if you're sacrificing on the trip looking like this.
I know, but that's all about the fruit of the spirit, right? See, she's going to try to throw curveballs at me. I'm knocking that stuff out of the park. Fruit of the spirit.
Right? Hey,
Fruit of the spirit.
I do not want you coming with me if I'm like, I want to go to the largest mall in the world, the one out in Minnesota or whatever, and then you like, I'm coming with you.
Fruit of the spirit. Do you know what this woman had me doing down there? So I've been working out and spinning. That's all I've been doing is spinning, no weightlifting. She had me doing TRX down there at the resort. TRX, if you don't know what it is, it's these cables.
Well, you said you wanted to work out.
I wanted, but she took me to like a different level. I was sacrificing my body and my soul in that workout for you. Because I was sore the next day, buddy. My whole upper body was hurting.
Okay, so nurturing, loving each other is biblical. The gift is how we go about doing it. So we need to be creative. And that's where communication and trust has to be present. That is so true, Navika. Derek says you could do a vacation that involves him doing his hiking one day. That's true. Like, you stay back at the hotel and they get to go the hiking or whatever.
But
and then you can't go with me looking all disgruntled.
No.
Wow, you are
I know, but that's not, you're looking at that as a, that should not be a possibility. Even though it may be a reality, it should not be the possibility.
And then that's why when you're on vacation together, your wife or your husband is like, the next time I'm leaving his butt at home.
That's some kind of fracture in the relationship. That's what I'm saying. You can't go on vacation with fractures in your relationship.
Well, but what if the the fruit of the Spirit ain't none.
Derek, I need you to bring some biblical references. Derek said you go to Mall of America, Rich can walk around.
Check out Prince, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, I hope that this conversation obviously can go back into your marriage, and into your relationship, and have a conversation, with your spouse. We, as you could see, we didn't have like one way or the other. There was just, we had so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
His mind was going everywhere.
So, like Angel said, my mom, I think I was in college, but I may have been out of college. Okay, last point, that she started going on vacation. She would go to Vegas to go to bingo. So it's like every year, mom's going to bingo. So I don't know if my dad said, oh, that's a specific person. She's not just going to Vegas. She's going to Vegas for bingo, and she went solo. She went by herself. Amazing to me that she did that. Angel, your mom,
she went and visited her sister.
Yeah.
In San Antonio.
So that was an acceptable thing, for both.
And then I have an aunt and uncle, they travel separately a lot because, same thing. Like if he ain't interested in what it is that she's doing, he'd be like, bye.
Right, but she's typically traveling with who?
Like her
family, her
yeah.
sisters and brothers and stuff like that. I think that there's just some sense of security when you see something like that. Like, I don't have a problem with Sonia or Tasha being apart with Angel
Sonia.
or...
Huh? Sonia. I
said Sonia. Sonia because I pronounce like my
like
mom.
Mom, yeah.
Being around the inner circle of Angel, along with all the other women who I'm not going to announce, but those two specifically, that you guys go to. Yeah, you guys can go to Alaska. Go to Art. No, don't go there because the man, the man-female ratio in Alaska is terrible. There's more men up there, so forget that.
You want to change it now?
I'm changing that. I'm taking that back. You guys go to some deserted islands.
So Megan says she has a natural disgruntled face. Richard does too. He naturally has. So then imagine when he is really disgruntled, it'd be extras.
Don't put me in the category. It was always like a, it was that pause that you have when somebody asks you a question. You just pause. Like when she said something like that, I said,
It was not. He was like, you are not going if you going like that.
You know what? That just had to be happenstance. This woman walked by and I saw that. I was like, nah, there's no way that can occur.
Okay, so for the sake of time, we appreciate this. Has been really good. We love the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. So we will be having, I believe, a talk show here in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tonight. Not sure what the topic is, but you know that to look for it on the on our events page. We'll be posting it, letting you guys know. Hopefully, it'll be the entire team. Coming up with a great topic. Let us know if you guys want to email us at marriagematterstoday1@gmail.com. Let us know if there's a certain topic that you'd like to hear us discuss.
And one thing, and even on this particular topic, if you know or you have a perspective from a biblical reference or anything that may enlighten us, please share that with us.
Because he was really digging.
Yeah. So what I'll do is that we will take this information to the team. Of course, we will vet through whatever you provided to us, and then we can post that on our Facebook site.
Yeah.
So you guys can look at that and find it for yourself as a reference point.
So if you guys want to share this video, we'll go ahead and we'll be posting it on our page. And if you guys want to share this with another couple that you think might be interested in this topic, and have them to like us on Facebook. I think we are also on Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel as well. Or I think we have some YouTube videos that Nalika and LJ have been working on putting everything together on YouTube for you guys to see some of our old videos. So,
And here's one more thing. And if you are going to be traveling with the girls, you have to have a vaccine before you go. You have to have a COVID test before you leave. You do have to have a COVID test before you come back into the United States. Yeah, in the United States. So that's like 3 COVID hoops you got to jump through if you decide to go with your girls.
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us. What is it that we always supposed to say before we leave? Be the one that loves the most in your marriage. Have a good night, everybody.